Bonjour YouTube. I got a new gun in that I am excited to talk to you about. This is the STI 2011 Edge. This one I just got from Dawson Precision. This one I also purchased with the tuning package that they have. Cost about $2,100, but you can't get these without it for, I think, $1,800 is what they're on sale for at the moment. Funny thing about this one is it's actually being discontinued. So I think they went in favor of the STI Tactical, but these have been around for quite a while. Just figured I'd do a video on it just because at the moment they are still selling them and they are on sale. However, some of the upgrades that they did to this thing, they tuned the extractor, they tuned the ejector, they tuned the breech face. They also put in a Dawson Precision guide rod versus whatever, I guess it's like some sort of recoil management. It's basically a double spring system that they had in this thing before. But the advantage to that being that you can basically buy your own springs at whatever pound you need, and you can kind of tune the gun to whatever kind of ammunition that you're using, whether it's reloads, off the shelf, that kind of thing. They definitely are still selling them, and there's some other websites that are still selling these things. Excellent weapon. I really was on the fence between this one and there was two other pretty competitive guns that I was thinking about getting instead of this one that were a little bit cheaper, but ultimately I decided to go with this one for one specific reason, and that is for the trigger on this bad boy. I don't think very many people will argue with you that a 2011 or a 1911 style trigger is definitely superior. The disadvantage, though, to a 1911 is its magazine capacity. Almost all of them are single stack, and if you're running in any sort of competition, you're going to wind up needing a whole ton of magazines and going to need a bunch of reloads to go with it as well. But I got this one chambered in 40 cal because of the fact that I do plan on running it in limited competition. So it's a very versatile caliber. I would highly recommend getting 40 caliber. Also, some of the upgrades that I plan on doing myself, and I know you're probably thinking, well, shit, if you're going to spend that much money on a gun, why the hell would you want to invest even more in upgrading it? Well, I wouldn't just recommend it on this one, but pretty much any other gun that you own, I would highly recommend going to titaniumgun.com and having your parts, especially your barrel, titanium nitrided. For those who don't know, what nitriding is it's not necessarily a coating, but it is a hardening process. It makes your gun like 10 times stronger, the steel on it. Also gives it a gold color to it, so I'm going to have the barrel, the guide rod, and pretty much everything else that you see here in steel. I'm going to have it titanium nitride, so it's going to have that black and gold look to it, which is pretty cool. But there actually is a functional advantage to it, and that's that it makes your parts much more durable. So that's the plan as of now. Also, one other thing to note, if you have considered Cerakoting parts to a 1911, I would highly advise against that, just for one specific reason. That's because 1911s and 2011s alike, they can be very finicky because they're very tight-fitting guns. Unlike Glocks and stuff like that, which basically you can abuse the crap out of them, these things tend to be a little bit more sensitive to tolerances. Titanium nitriding only adds just a few hundredths of an inch or hundreds of microns thick of layer to it because it's more of a treatment and not necessarily a coating. Whereas, even though the Cerakote is a very thin coating, it's still a coating, and it may cause some functionality problems in your gun if you do decide to get like your trigger, hammer spring, or any of that. Not hammer spring, but your ambi-safety, stuff like that. You may just something to consider, especially your barrel, because you want all these parts to be fitted perfectly. The two competitors that I thought about getting prior to settling on this one, and they were definitely strong competitors. I would recommend the CZ TSO, the Shadow 2, or they also make a carbon copy of this one, which is called the SPS Pantera. SPS Pantera basically has the interchangeable parts with the 2011. Hey, get the hell out of there. Go on. Stupid dog. But, where was I? Yeah, SPS Pantera. That's it. Anyways, all the parts are basically interchangeable, and it is a clone of the 2011. However, if you do buy something like that, you need to have it sent to an armor who knows what he's doing. Make sure everything's fitted properly, and have him go over it and tune it. That way that whenever you're shooting it, you don't run across any malfunctions. Now, this one I've had about 500 rounds through it. It's a very, very good shooting gun. I haven't had any problems with it yet. Probably not going to be as reliable as the CZ is. However, like I said, the big advantages of this one is having the trigger. But if you're comfortable with having just a nice trigger that's a fulcrum type trigger, I would definitely recommend the CZ, because you're going to spend probably about $1,000 less. So definitely a good thing to have. Some of the things that they did on the upgrade package from Dawson: tune the extractor, ejector, the breech face, excuse me, and they also did they polished the feed ramps on this, so everything functions and runs nice and smooth. One of the things that I do plan on doing on this, and I will let you know in the comments as soon as I get it done. However, it's just a matter of finances at the moment. And I've got another grip that I have that I'm going to be sending off to a place that does laser stippling. The only grips that are available for this right now are hand stippled. I can't remember the name of the company, but it's pretty obvious. It's not very clean looking, because I considered buying one, but if you look at some of the Glocks and stuff like that that have laser stippling jobs on it, it just looks really, really good versus the hand stippling type. So I think that's the route that I'm going to go. However, I've called around to some of these places and nobody's ever really done it yet. So I'm going to send them a sample material, because not all the polymers react the same to the laser. You know, I guess there are certain brands that they've tried stippling and it just comes out and it looks like garbage, because it reacts to the heat of the laser just a little bit differently. So I will let you know how that goes as soon as I get it sent off to them, if that is something that you may want to consider doing with your 2011. One of the things that I definitely had an issue with a specific gun is finding a good retention holster. Now, the retention holster you're going to need if you're doing 3-gun, it's not necessarily as important if you're doing like if you're doing IPSC or USPSA limited shooting, just because of the fact that you don't need as much retention if you're doing that type of pistol competition. But if you're doing 3-gun, you're going to be running around, and if you don't have some sort of solid retention on this bad boy other than straight Kydex, then this thing's going to wind up shooting out of your holster, and you're going to get DQ'd from the match. Not to mention, you don't want any kind of 80s or anything like that happening. But as far as holsters, this one right here is from Safariland, and I'll give you the actual part number if you're looking for it. But this is a grip locking system. Goes in nice and smooth like so, and it's got enough retention that it will keep that bad boy in there. This is the Safariland 578 grip locking system. The actual part number is 578-683-411. Now the 411 denotes which hand you are. So if you're a right-handed shooter, you're going to just enter in Safariland 578-683-411. That's going to give you the exact part number for this exact holster, which is an excellent holster. But I've decided to go with this one, and I've also got Red Hill Tactical making my Kydex one. As far as just regular pistol competition holsters, Red Hill Tactical does an excellent job. I've got one of their other holsters, but what I decided to do was get the boss hanger from Ben Stoger, and I placed one of these Safariland QLS systems on there. That way I can swap out holsters fairly easily, and the hanger itself costs about 50 bucks, which is a really nice hanger. It's milled from aluminum, and it's nice and solid, does what I need it to do. But the big advantage being these the QLS system, I can just swap out holsters depending what kind of competition you're going to be doing. You know, it's just as simple as that. Taking out an old one, dropping in a new one, and bam. So anyway, let me see. Yeah, the CZ TSO though, that really comes right out the box ready to go. It doesn't require any tuning or anything like that, and it comes with 4 different magazines. Unfortunately, this one only comes with 2, and whenever you're doing the Super Tune package, they do have the Dawson base pads on these. Outside of that, there's really nothing different from the stock ones, which I did order some extra stock ones. Whenever I had a discussion with the guy on the phone from Dawson before I ordered this thing. Now, just so you know, I've never had any issues with the stock STI mags, and these are about $60 a piece. You can buy the MBX ones that hold like 20 rounds versus these 18 rounds, but those are going to run you about 120 bucks a piece. These, I don't necessarily see a huge advantage to the Dawson base pads, other than it's a little bit beefier and it adds a little bit more weight to it. So, I mean, as far as how they run, both of them hold the same amount of ammo. Both of them run great, and I haven't had any problems. But the guy I was speaking with on the phone, he said that the STI 140 millimeter mags, they are now, these are the Gen 2, so they are now basically running just fine and don't require any tuning, versus the Gen 1 mags that definitely do. So I bought 2 extra of those for 60 bucks a piece, which definitely pricey, certainly pricier than you're gonna pay for on your TSO mags or Glock mags or anything like that. But can't remember if I spoke about it, but yeah, the SPS Pantera is definitely a solid option if you don't want to spend that kind of money. You're gonna spend about 1,400 bucks on the Pantera. However, it's basically a clone of that thing. Just send it into an armor. This thing comes in 2 different kinds. It comes in hard chrome, and it also comes in a DVC. I chose the DVC. DVC is actually a little bit more durable, though it doesn't have that chrome look to it, obviously. But the chrome is going to be a little bit more expensive. You're going to spend probably about $300-400 more on the chrome version of that than you will on the DVC coating. So anyway, I suppose that if looks are that important to you, then you may want to consider that option. But it's an excellent gun so far. I haven't had a whole hell of a lot of ammunition run through it, and I've only had the Winchester white box at this point. I haven't gotten a chance to put any kind of reloads or anything like that through it, but that is ultimately the goal. Reloads are a little bit cheaper, and that's my next project for next year, is to start reloading my own ammo. But as you know, you gotta basically fork over the capital just to get your setup started, so it's in progress. Anyways, if you have any other questions as far as kind of the setup, the holster information that you're going to need for it, or anything like that, by all means, let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. As far as performance or any other kind of options that you may want, just by all means drop it in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to have a discussion with you. Because if you're just getting into the 3-gun, you don't want to really overdo it on just one specific portion. If you're doing USPSA or something like that, then you may want to lean towards spending most of your money towards just the pistol. So, but anyways, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and y'all have a good day.